Yeah, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. The fellas are back. We're back. And once again, we appreciate you guys for supporting us, liking the pages and following us. All the information, once again, is going to be located below. All right. Now, this week we're going to talk about a couple topics. A couple topics is going to be of interest to a lot of people. The first thing we are going to talk about is, the overall topic is going to be recipe for failure. Recipes for failure. So now, by that, we talked about it earlier, fellas. Like, so what are we trying to bring to the table today?
I mean, one thing that comes to mind is career failure. Just doing the right things to avoid career failures.
Right. I think so much I do it myself, but on social media or just in life in general, we always post our success, but we never post our failures. So I think it's important to see where we all started at some point, to see, I guess, to get a backlog as far as what did you start with and what did you fail at to get to the point that you're at right now, as far as where are you at in life now, but what things did you fail in life to get to where you're at now.
Exactly. Now, the subtopics that we're going to talk about is what can be a recipe for failure with financial wise, recipes for failure for, relationships, recipes for failure for, just like your personal lives, right? And also recipes for failure for your career. Now, financials. This is something that we talk about. It seems like we talk about every single week because we stress the importance of financial literacy, right? Now, I think it was episode 2, we talked about like having like credit card debt. We're gonna like dig into it a little more when it comes to getting yourself into credit card debt. I spoke about that when I was 18. As soon as I turned 18, the credit card company started bombarding me with mail. Sign up for this. You're approved for $1,200. You're approved for $2,500. You're approved for $3,000. And I fell for it. And I believe this is something that is completely programmed into young kids' minds, to where it's like, hey, you're approved for something, you got to do it, you got to apply for it, you got to accept it. Now, what are your thoughts on how to avoid getting stuck in that trap?
I mean, just be smart with making those decisions. First and foremost, a credit card balance is not free money, so you definitely have to pay it back. So don't ever get the impression, like sometimes there's even rewards, like they have attractive ways to kind of like getting your attention, a bonus, right? Like you see that all the time, $500 bonus, right? And it's not a $500 free bonus, right? Like you're gonna have to keep a certain balance. You're gonna have to do a certain amount of spending before you can get those bonuses. So, just read the fine print when you get these offers, and don't fall into the trap of, spending money that you don't have and get into trouble paying it back.
Right. And another big thing with that as well too is living within your financial means. So if you have a credit card, people think, okay, I have $5,000 I can actually spend on a credit card. So what they'll do is probably buy a whole bunch of shoes, clothes, jewelry, whatever the case may be, but not knowing they're going to be paying 24 or 25% interest on that amount that they're actually paying $1,000 for. But add 25% to that as well too. And if you max out the card, it's going to mess up your debt to income ratio as well too. So it's like you were saying, you can have a credit card, but just be smart with it and live within your means, and make sure you read the fine print with the interest rates and whatnot.
Yeah, so we sounds like you guys are also talking about just having a budget, an overall budget that you have to follow, right? Yeah. Now, also, one way you could actually be smart if you do qualify and then you accept the credit card that they're offering you, maybe instead of purchasing, non-assets, you can invest that money that you qualify for into possibly purchasing assets, right? Especially now, let's say for instance, I'm not sure exactly what would you qualify for. Like, some people may get things that are actually bringing them more money. Like, so what's a simple thing that you think that folks could actually, purchase with the credit card that can become an asset? Something simple.
I mean, one idea, and this could probably like spin off into another conversation, is like, for example, I do Turo. So I purchased a car and I rent it out. And Turo, for those not familiar with it, it's like a platform. It's like the Airbnb for cars. So essentially, you can list a car and have someone rent out your car, like another person, like another consumer, and you can earn money from doing that. So, it may be a good idea to use a credit card and purchase a vehicle that's going to earn you money on a monthly basis. So you're actually gaining something by having that credit card balance. And even if I did use a credit card to purchase a vehicle, I'd make sure that I was paying off that balance every month. So and not accruing the additional interest if I don't need to.
Got it. So for me, what I did with it, my first business credit card, to actually use my credit card to make it a potential asset. I purchased my hats for my business, my logo, which is crazy, it's expensive, which is what I have on now, and I'll explain that more later in another episode. But I purchased my initial order for my hats, my shirts, and things like that. So I made that initial investment with my credit card. So now that I'll see, I'm doing the profit margins or whatever the case may be, I'll see how much I actually spent with my initial investment, and then I'll see, okay, how much do I need to make from that to actually pay off my credit card balance. It's already paid off, but just get my money back, and also see the return of that as well too, for more of a residual income.
Exactly. When I originally, received a credit card, I followed the same trend everyone else. All my friends were following. I purchased shoes, I purchased clothes. But one thing that you guys can actually do, especially you younger kids, right? If you want to start like a clothing line business, right? Let's say, for example, you want to do like a Shopify or something of that nature. You could easily also use that credit card to open up your store, and the money that you get back from it, you could actually, pay that credit card off, and you start receiving profits from that store. So something as simple as like starting a little business and using your credit card money just to start a business to where you're actually getting something back from it. So we need to start looking into investing into ourselves first before, spending money wildly like that.
Absolutely. Another good credit tip is, a good measure of your credit, or one of the factors that determines how good your credit is your balance ratio. So if you do have a credit card with a low balance, make sure you stay within the spending limits, where you're not borrowing more than 10% or more of your outstanding credit card balance, because that's when it starts affecting your credit. As time goes on and you're able to build that balance higher and higher, then you'll be able to spend more. Of course, make sure you're still staying within your means, but a good factor that determines your credit worthiness is just staying within a certain threshold. I believe that's 10% of your overall credit card balance.
I was also told that if you pay your credit card, I think like 2 weeks in advance, prior to the due date, is that helpful? Like, I don't know, I saw it somewhere.
I don't know. I feel like if you pay it, like, anytime from when you use it to when it's due, I think as long as you pay off the entire balance, you don't accrue any interest. So it doesn't matter if you do it a day before or 10 days before. You won't accrue any interest.
So with that, I actually have my two concepts with credit cards now. What I'm learning the process is, if I were to apply for another credit card or a new credit card for myself or my business, they'll give you 18 and 24 months with 0% interest, and after that 18 and 24 months, they'll say, okay, you're gonna have 14% interest. So what I'll do is I'll get my charges and spend what I need to spend within those 18 and 24 months. And after that, I really wouldn't just really use it too much after that. And now I have an American Express, so it's like a charge card. So every month, if I swipe for $2,000, I have to make sure I pay that $2,000 the next month. But it's no interest as well with that. But I guess the con to that is you got to make sure you pay off that $2,000 balance within 30 days. But it's no interest.
Another benefit a lot of credit card companies offer is balance transfers. So if you have another credit card, maybe with a higher interest rate, you can transfer that balance over to the new credit card you apply for. However, I would also read the fine print on that and make sure that you won't be responsible right away on that interest with the balance that you just rolled over, and you will indeed have time to pay that off.
Be sure. All right. So one example that I have where I got caught up, it was literally right after I got married, man. We started buying like furniture, so we went to Ashley Furniture, right? So they approved us, and they were like, hey, we were like, hey, we're gonna buy all this furniture, all this living room furniture, bedroom furniture. So we bought it, but they gave us, I think it was like interest free for a year, right? And as soon, because we didn't pay it off during that first year, because I slacked off a little bit, but like we got hit with like a huge fee, man. Like that fee was so like substantial, and it felt like the account like more than doubled, right, than what was left on it. So you guys have to be careful whenever you get into, especially with like department stores. When you get into like these like no interest for a year, make sure that you pay it off within that year.
Yeah. I know a lot of people get caught up like, because a lot of times like you hear that no interest and you're like, okay, well, I know I can pay it off within that time frame. And then when you miss that mark, and then the first month of making payments, you panic and you start reading through the statements you got, and you see that interest rate is like 30%. Like, damn.
It hits you pretty hard.
Don't fall for the trap.
Right. So moving on, man. So the very next subject is something we spoke on the last episode regarding like relationships. Now, recipes for failure for relationships. One thing I just want to get it out the way now. I'm just going to knock it out the way right now, man. So whoever's like, even people who are our age, older than us, or even like the younger kids, but I really want to target more like the younger listeners. A big recipe for failure regarding relationships is not being the master of your domain, right? Not being able to control your sexual reproductive organs, like as far as like going out and men going out and having like multiple children, because that's a recipe for failure, because what happens is that it puts you into debt as well, right? So it goes back to finances. Same thing with the ladies as well. So one recipe for failure in your 20s and your 30s as well is not being the master of your domain regarding your having children and things of that nature. What else can you guys add to that?
Self-control is important, you know. I mean, and going with what you just mentioned, I think when it comes to relationships, one thing that people should consider is counseling, right? And I think, I always say this. I think when you're young, when you're young, and I know a lot of people may have like high school or college sweethearts, and they're in love, and you want to make it last, right? Some people end up marrying their college and high school sweethearts and living happily ever after. So I think even at that age, I would recommend relationship counseling, just to have someone come in and give you that outside perspectives and offer you the tools to kind of pay attention to in order to make your relationship work. I think, that could benefit anyone.
Yeah, so two things what you just actually said is really important is therapy. So a lot of people, they seek their family members, sisters, brother, cousins for relationship advice, and they may not be the best person suited to actually give you relationship advice. They may be speaking from a deeper, darker place. So it's actually better to go through a couples therapy or therapy yourself rather than seeking therapy from your family. But personally, I would say my recipe or my ingredient for my recipe for
Failure.
Yeah, failure.
Avoiding failure.
Is actually stemmed from being my childhood. I was like raised not to be emotional, not to cry, not to show any emotion. So actually, what that is doing right now, my relationship now is it's bleeding into my relationship as far as not being emotional, not being able to open up, not being able to have that vulnerable moment. I never can actually be like, it's hard for me to open up and be vulnerable, to feel, I guess, what I was raised on, being weak and being soft and not being emotional. It's kind of messing me up, like really bad. It messed me up in all my relationships, and it's messing me up right now.
Yeah, but men don't cry though, right?
Yeah, we can't cry.
Yeah, we cannot cry. That's like
we can't be emotional. We can't express how we feel, because if we do, it's just, I was always raised. It was weak, and still show no emotion, to keep pushing and keep moving forward. But sometimes women want to see that emotional side of you, not too much emotion. Just they want to see that you feel something. But I'm lacking that.
Yeah. And I guess I could add one thing to that is like, so I feel like the way we were told, like, men don't cry, right? Like, but we still feel. So it's just a matter of expression. So I think that we were always taught not to express ourselves the way that we feel, sort of just like hold it in.
Yeah.
And sometimes that could do more damage than good. So it's always important to kind of get it out, just so you won't like implode.
Yeah.
Society really comes down hard on men that do show emotions, though. Like, for example, man, like, you remember when Tyrese recorded himself where he couldn't see like his like children, and he instantly became like a meme, right? You know, people make fun
What more
of
do
him.
you want from me?
Yeah, what more do you want from me? Hey, but believe it or not, man, that was actually like a cry for help too. You know, you know, he was saying that, you know, he couldn't see his children and things of that nature. Same thing happened with Kanye. Even though Kanye has like taken it to a level that's like, you know, damn, what are you doing, bro? But you know, Kanye was saying the same thing with his children. And you know, when it comes down to men being emotional, we instantly become memes, man. When men cry, how many times you've seen the Jordan, crying meme or whatever? It becomes something that's funny because, you know, it's like men are not supposed to cry. So we should take things more serious when men are actually reaching out for help. It shouldn't be seen as something that's like, hey man, this guy's weak, or this guy's like, you know, he's not a real man, things of that nature. But yeah, that's definitely something that should change.
Yeah, it takes a lot for a man to open up, to cry, to be emotional, to actually step back from the person that they're used to being, I guess, in their natural setting, to actually be vulnerable, to cry, to like open up, to say they need help. So that may be like the last breaking point before they attempt something else. So if a man is coming to you crying and very emotional, make sure you check on them and make sure you keep in contact with them, to make sure they're okay.
What about sex, y'all? So G touched on that, like just being able to kind of like control your urges, right? But what about recommendations? Because I mean, like, we're adults, like, and at the end of the day, like, you know, people are going to engage in sexual activities. So what would be like a recommendation to kind of like
safe sex?
Yeah.
practicing safe sex, and safe sex doesn't necessarily always have to deal with just like
abstinence is the safest sex.
Abstinence, but that's not gonna happen, man. They're like, man, let me turn this thing off right now. These dudes talking about abstinence and not getting none, you know. But I think safe sex could stems like it's more than just, you know, putting on a condom or having you know, as far as like protection for the man or the woman. I think safe sex, like you said, is like if you go on, you know, if you're interested in someone, you know, maybe you don't have to like, you know, smash on the first night. And I'm gonna get like, you know, hey man, this guy's you know, some kind of simp or something like that. No, it's not like that, man. It's like there's ways, like I said, you gotta be the master of your domain. You kind of got to feel the person out a little bit. Everyone, you know, goes through that phase where, you know, you may have like a one night stand, or you may get involved in someone where it's like, man, we just gonna do it right here, right now in the bathroom, or whatever, right? But you know, safe sex goes beyond just, you know, protecting yourself. It's also, you know, protecting who you're around, because how many stories we've seen now where it's like, you know, this, you know, woman goes on a date with somebody and all of a sudden she ends up like dead, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Because she didn't really know that person.
Yeah.
So it could extend to bigger things.
So I got three things that men should not accept from women when it comes to sex. Okay, 3 excuses that men should not accept from women. Okay. Excuse number 1.
All right.
Excuse number 1. I'm on the pill.
Okay.
Don't accept that. Strap up. Okay.
Yeah. Good advice.
Excuse number 2. I can't get pregnant. Okay. Men, don't accept that. Strap up anyways. Okay. Excuse number 3. I'm allergic to condoms. It don't feel good. I'm allergic to condoms. No, don't accept that. Okay.
Damn. It seems like I've heard all 3 of those before.
Yeah.
We've all heard them. We've all heard them. Okay. Like, no, don't fall for the okie doke.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because that's gonna put you in a situation like we talked about before, where, you know, for the next 18 years, you know, like you're gonna be in a situation where, you know, it wasn't planned. So, and that is a huge recipe for failure.
Yes.
So definitely take heed to the information that we're giving you guys today.
What's the next topic we want to discuss about failure? What do we feel on, or what do we feel in or felt on that we want to, I guess, we can touch up on?
So, I mean, we could talk about like personal failures, right? When it relates to education or just, you know, following your passion, you know, just, you know, me for example, I decided to go to college out of high school, and you know, I was not sort of fully engaged my first couple of years in college. You know, I didn't I didn't know what I was going for. I just went just because it was the thing to do. So I did end up failing a bunch of classes my first couple of years, and I was on academic probation. And at some point, I even considered dropping out when I was like working full time. And the lesson from that is to, eventually I did go back and I ended up graduating from college, and I went on and got my MBA. The lesson from that, it was just like sort of knowing what I want to do, knowing kind of like what I was interested in, and just kind of like following that path and being persistent and sticking to it and not letting those distractions happen.
I have a family member who's he's young. I think he's in 11th grade, but while he's in high school, he's attended like aviation academy, right? It's like some kind of program that high school has, and he was able to obtain his pilot's license, right? So he's doing great, man. Next year is going to be his senior year. He's like taking his family flying, and the crazy thing about it is like there's a lot of programs for younger kids, for like airplane companies like Delta, American Airlines, that would give him a great opportunity. But like you said, Stan, he started working for like I think it's like FedEx, and he's making great money right now. So he's not really focusing on the pilot anymore, because he's like, I'm making money now. Yeah. So I think one thing that you could actually do that could actually become a failure is not take advantage of the opportunities that you have while you're young. So him being a pilot and him having an opportunity to fly. And Craig, I know you're studying for that as well, but like those careers, they pay a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
So you have to take advantage of opportunities when you're young as well.
Most definitely, yeah. I was just thinking about one of my failures, and it's like the irony of what my profession is now. So before, like a while back, when I joined the military originally, I wanted to be a police officer, civilian side, Hillsborough County Sheriff's Department. So I thought I wanted to do that. So I went through the process, the PT test, the exams, and all that stuff. But I actually did a psych eval. But the night before I did my psych eval with the psychologist, I went out partying, not thinking it was a big deal. Like I was out till 4 a.m. and I had an eval at 8 o'clock in the morning. Make a long story short, I failed the psych eval. I was saying some crazy stuff like I do drugs, I'm in a gang. I was just like half asleep trying to fill out the information on the actual eval. So when the psychiatrist actually interviewed me, he was like, hey, you did this, you did that. And he's like, hey, bottom line, I don't think you're going to take this serious, because based off your responses on this exam, you didn't take this serious. I don't think this is right for you, so come back in 6 months. So I was bummed out about it. I didn't want to do it, so I gave up on it. So, but the irony to that is actually I went to school to be a psychiatric nurse practitioner, which is like a psychiatrist, and I'm actually the one that can actually, I guess, see patients for when they're actually dealing with mental health crisis. So I was going to be a police officer. I failed that process because I didn't take it serious, but now I'm actually a psych MP, which is better in my.
So you were persistent.
Yeah, I was very persistent. I think that failure actually lingered with me. That's one of the failures, but it lingered with me to say, okay, not to say I'm not good enough, but it's like you feel that something. So what are you going to do now? What are you going to do next? It's like, don't let that define your life. What are you going to do? Your next purpose in life. So it kind of defined me.
Yeah.
I think when you get started, once you've established that you've overcome your personal failures, right, and you get into your career, this is going to be the very last topic we speak on as far as like recipes for failure in your career. Never stay settled on your position in your career, no matter what, right? I think a lot of people, companies that I work for, there are people that work there for like 15, 20 years, man, and they just literally stayed in one position. They didn't want to move up. They didn't want to do anything extra to make extra money because they felt safe and comfortable. So a huge recipe for failure is just, staying stagnated and not making any moves, even when the opportunity is right there for you. Yep. And if you don't put that effort to make any moves, everyone else, like the managers and things of that nature, the owners, they're going to look at you like, hey, this guy just wants to sit here and do his job, so I'm not going to take him serious either.
Right. So
you definitely want to make sure that you take a full advantage of any opportunity that you have, even if you're working at a 9-to-5 job.
Yeah. Another opportunity is just not to solely rely on one source of income. As we saw, many people got laid off due to the pandemic, and they were scrambling to make things work and find other gigs, find other jobs. So having those multiple sources of income actually leverage the risk of just getting fired from one job, right? You got something to fall back on. And a second suggestion is just investing, right? Investing your money. Bottom line is the 401k won't cut it for a lot of people. Like, 401k or Social Security, once we retire, that's not going to cut it. that's not going to be comfortable living for most Americans. So, just having that plan B, having those assets stored away that can earn you additional income and mature by the time you get to the retirement age, and you'll be able to live as comfortable as you want from that money.
Got it. And then my input on this as well too is, it's okay to fail. We've all failed. Everyone's gonna fail. Sometimes they gotta actually publish their failures, but it's okay to fail. So don't let your failure define you. Find that purpose and what you really want to do. Find out what you did wrong. Go back to the drawing board. Write some notes down and go back and attack it. So you gotta, like you said before, fail 8 times, get up 9 times, and make sure you try it again. So let your failures define you and make sure you keep pushing forward. But my philosophy in life now is actually I've been using for the past few years is I'm uncomfortable being comfortable. I never like to get comfortable. Like every time I get comfortable, I get uncomfortable. Like I don't like this feeling. Like I feel like I'm content in life right now, and I hate being content. So always be uncomfortable being comfortable.
Yeah, and also have an exit strategy for anything that you do as well. If something's not going well, if you feel like, hey, I could accomplish more than just staying in this field, go to another field. If you have it in your heart that, hey, I could run a business on my own, I know what I have it right in my head, go ahead and do it. We live in an age now where information is literally at the tip of our fingers. So you could literally find out how to do something. Just go to YouTube University, all right?
Facts.
So have an exit strategy and just don't sell yourself short, all right?
Facts. If at first you don't succeed,
try again.
dust yourself off and try again.
We have to do a singing group now.
This ain't gonna be no soul for real, man. Hey man, listen, this was today's episode. This was a really quick episode. We just wanted to be on topic and make sure that we provide you guys information that from experience that we've had as well, and also from our research. Make sure you guys follow us, like, subscribe, share, comment, help us out. All right. Until next time. Peace.